welcome to another episode of Adoptions from the Heart TV. I'm your host, Amanda Aliberti. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Jackie, who is not only an adoptee, but she's also a social worker at Adoptions from the Heart. We are joined by Jackie's father, Bob. Welcome, guys.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
So Jackie, you are an employee here.
I am.
Okay, how long have you been here?
Probably a little over a year now.
Okay.
I did my internship here. That was about a year, so maybe a little over a year.
And you were actually placed for adoption through Adoptions from the Heart 27 years ago.
27 years ago.
Wow.
My parents worked.
Yesterday.
Bob, tell me a little bit of why you chose Adoptions from the Heart, if you can remember 27 years ago.
I honestly don't remember. We weren't able to have kids.
Okay.
And at one point we just decided not to do the IVF and all of that business, and we just looked at each other and said, let's do adoption. You know, I think a lot of people have a stigma about it, and we never really thought that we thought it was a good way to go. Why we chose this agency, I honestly don't remember. Okay, I kind of do remember. We like the idea that the birth mothers were able to look through a book at the time anyway, and look through different couples and people, and we felt that they had an option, and we thought it was a nice thing. It was a good way to go. But basically, that was it. That was an attractive aspect for us.
Sure. And that's really powerful because, 27 years ago, open adoption was still not super common, right? So the idea that you and your wife really liked the idea of birth parents having a choice, that's a really powerful statement for you.
And they had a choice, and we were able to meet them.
Sure.
And talk to them. And that's nice too. You know where your child came from.
Sure.
In a sense.
Absolutely. Well, and fast forward to today, how did it feel when you heard that your daughter was going to be coming back to Adoptions from the Heart?
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was cool. We went from a little baby who, and she was born right before we had rented a house at the shore.
Okay.
And my wife said, well, she's only 2 weeks old. We can't take her. And I said, no, this is great. Let's go. We took this little baby, and we were both getting up at 4 and 5 in the morning with the bottles, and the feedings and all this stuff. And it was really cool. And now she has her master's degree. Just got licensed, passed her licensing exam.
Yeah.
And it was very cool. The whole thing was just from beginning to now, it was great. And you don't really think about it. You don't think of, well, this is my adopted child. I mean, after about 2 weeks, that goes away. It's
Sure.
really weird. Except my mother-in-law, her grandmother, would always introduce us as, oh, this is Bob and Maureen and their adopted child, Jackie. And so you don't really have to say that, but that's what she would. And then we who cares? I mean, seriously, after 2 weeks, I never give it until now a moment's thought. I really don't. She's our kid.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship to Jackie's birth parents.
There wasn't much initially. We did we didn't want to have a great deal of involvement, but we sent a letter every couple of times a year and sent some photos, and we did it that way. And recently Jackie reconnected with her mother a few years ago, her birth mother, and so we came to know her a little bit. We met her at a couple of parties, and I spoke with her over the phone a few times, and so we knew her a little bit, but there was really in our circumstance very little involvement with the birth parents, my first daughter and with Jackie.
Jackie, did you ever feel worried or fearful of trying to reconnect with your birth family? Did you ever worry about what your dad may think or feel?
100%.
Tell me about that.
100%. And it was nothing that my parents made me feel. It was just this feeling of, well, what if I go reconnect with my birth mom and then my parents don't want me anymore, and then I lose that, and then I lose this, and then I'm left with no one. And ultimately, they are my mom and my dad. So, when I first spoke with them, I would always address Marianne is my birth mom, and talking to people, adoptive parents, my birth parent, it's just exhausting because they're all my parents, like in one way or another.
So it sounds like as much love and support that your family gave you and allowed you to feel comfortable connecting with your birth family, you still go through struggles at times, potentially,
you're
as an
human.
adoptee.
Exactly, you're human, you're gonna have irrational thoughts, you're gonna have second guesses, all of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But my parents never,
There's nothing to second guess.
they never made me feel like I was gonna lose them.
That's wonderful.
Or anything like that nature, yeah.
I'm curious, Bob, I don't know if Jackie has shared with you kind of where the agency is now, but any similarities, any differences? Do you still see us as who we were 27 years ago?
It seems like the same thing.
Yeah.
I know from some of the women who she has helped who are giving up babies.
Making an adoption plan.
Making an adoption
Yay! Positive adoption language!
Everything does seem the same. And the people who she goes to visit, the people who are adopting, I haven't followed it over the years, but it seems like the same thing. And the people are all really nice, and they all like what they do. And it's very comforting atmosphere. The whole thing is nice.
Yeah. Well, Maxine started this agency years ago, and I think the foundation of who we are has always remained the same, right? Of course, you evolve, you make changes or whatnot over the years, but the idea and the premise behind what we stand for has always stayed the same. So I appreciate you saying that, we are a tight-knit team over here.
It seems the same, and I've never understood the stigma some people have about adoption. It's just, to me, it's just odd, because we have never thought of Jackie or her sister Eve as anything but our kids.
Sure.
From day one.
Well, we are.
Well, you are.
Not getting rid of me.
You may be starting to pay for more things on your own, but you're still our kids.
That I am.
Well, we certainly look forward to your career at Adoptions from the Heart, and we are grateful, Bob, that you joined our community.
Yeah, it's great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. If you think of any topics or ideas that you'd like us to focus on, please comment below. Thanks so much.